Can I ask you? Can you please describe a circumstance where you had to work under pressure and deal with deadlines?
Okay. When I have some difficult, I like it. I like to make challenge.
See why you practice? Another thing that's often happens is, yeah. You really, the practice gets rid of all that. So don't worry about that for now.
Okay. So actually, I may have a question. So how many sentences we should prepare before we start to speak?
Well, you have to describe the circumstance. So
Yeah.
I can't answer that. Some people would do it, well, it was a ranch. I did this. That happened. But I wouldn't say that's a good way to do it.
So if they ask me a question about a circumstance that never happened to me, should I just invent stuff?
Do you tell me if there's any of these questions? Is this one of them?
I didn't really hear.
Work hard under pressure, work under pressure and meet the deadline.
Yeah.
You've had to do it. Any of the questions in here, the students will come to me and say, oh, that's never happened to me, and I'll go, that's crap. It happens to everybody, and if you say that to them, they're going to know you're lying, because it happens to me. Oh, but I get along with everybody. No, you don't. No, you don't. And that's where I bring up, come on, you're married, you got a boyfriend, girlfriend, and they go, oh yeah, well, yeah, I don't get along with everybody. Okay, so use that as an example, because they're actually looking for you to say, oh, never happened. See ya. Because if you're not like the rest of the world, you're too weird for our organization. But see, they know the questions that they're asking, everybody, with any kind of work history behind them at all, and especially with our age and over, you've had these things happen to you. Okay? So,
Sorry, I'm sorry to cut you. I have a better understanding of that question. Wouldn't be, when was the time that you didn't met your deadline?
they could
I
ask
think
that.
you should say that, because there was some times that I didn't meet my deadline.
That's a totally different question than this one. Describe a time when you've had to work under pressure and meet a deadline. So they want to know, what did you do in order to meet the deadline in time?
No,
Tell me about a time when you didn't meet a deadline. Totally different question. Okay, that's.
So would you say that? If it happened to you 95% of the time.
You don't
that
talk
you
about
met
the
your
time that
deadline.
you don't meet a deadline, ever. Never, unless they ask that question. Oh, that's never happened. No, then you'd answer it. But when they're asking this question, you would never say, well, 95% of the time I meet my deadlines. See ya. Bye-bye. We've got somebody that can do it 100%. So, no, but just a totally different question, totally different answer. And then you just have to describe the circumstance. And I'm sure it's a perfectly fine situation. Something happened, the electricity went out, it was impossible to meet the deadline.
Yeah, something without your control on it.
And that's maybe why that question isn't in here, because oftentimes when deadlines are not met, it has a lot to do with circumstances beyond our control, except in construction, when they're never going to meet a deadline. I'm just going to borrow this chair for a minute.
So it costs for them.
Sorry?
Not meeting their deadline, it costs for them.
Not always. There's some tricks around. There's reasons why you wouldn't put in penalties.
Really?
Yeah. So I had one girl, student, come to me, and here's how she was. On the chair, doing an interview. Her legs were like this. This is very, oh poor me, I'm so weak and meek and mild. What you want. I still sit on the edge of the chair. Bring it on. Ask me a question. Come on.
It's
I
it's
do.
like defense in the
Oh.
defense.
No, this is passion. This is excitement. This
Yeah,
is
because
like,
usually the thesis defense always students also working like that.
oh,
Sitting.
when you're doing your defense,
Some-
yes.
no.
I stood the whole time for mine.
Yeah, I don't know. So, show that you're engaged, you're eye contact, you are there to be there and you want to make them happy. And some of the things I've been told that might happen when you are in an interview, who was it? We just did a panel interview for the Department of Economics, panel session I should say, and they talked about the interview. And it was the young man who works at Deloitte. And he said they have some ways to stress the people out. For instance, so, and you're sitting right beside them when you're doing the interview, and they make you, or they say, or you walk in and there's not a chair in the place, and they say, walk in behind you and just stand there and look at you. How you doing? Would you like a chair? And you're just like, I don't know. I'd have fun with any of it, I can guarantee you that, because I just love those things. So, question number 2. You didn't answer that one, by the way.
Yeah, I have an answer.
Do you want to?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I, as a graduate student, I always meet a lot of challenges for meeting the deadline and a lot of pressure, whether from a lot of external conditions, for example, my supervisor, and also deadline set by my department. But I try, when I meet these kind of challenges, I see it in a positive attitude, because I think it will make me grow very fast, and also I like to take challenges, and because I also think that we can be more productive under the pressure. So basically, what I will do is I usually set the big task into smaller ones and try to finish them one by one, and just do it and start as early as possible, not waiting for the last minute.
For sure, Nike would hire you. Because just do it. No, that's good. You could tweak it a little bit. And again, that's where the preparation comes in. So you just, and practice it. And one thing I'm going to highly recommend to you, and I highly recommend it to myself all the time, slow down when you're talking. There's no real rush. As long as you've got the proper information, you should be able to deliver it in 3 minutes without having to speed talk your way through it. Okay?
And also maybe I add another question. So for example, when you ask me a question, so like how soon I start answering, because maybe I need a few seconds to think about it and construct my answer.
Absolutely. So when you do get that question that you weren't quite prepared for, smile. Thank them. That's an awesome question. And then just say, just give me a second. And it shouldn't take you long to think up something, because you've been practicing and preparing in work mode anyway, thinking about your past. So, for me, I'm visual, and I'm visual remembered up here, my eyes. That tweaks something in your brain. And I'll do that for a second. I'll just be like, okay, yes, I've got a good situation for you here. And then I just get into it. Couple of seconds, 3 seconds maybe. If you're taking much longer than that, it's not today. But yeah, it shouldn't be that difficult. Or I guess you could also say, can I come back to that question? I really have to think about a situation where that happened. And then they'll move on, and then they'll come back to it. Okay? It's okay to ask all of these things. They are under the assumption, which it is, that you're nervous. But you're not nervous. Are you? What are you? You're excited. You're excited. Because what happens when you're nervous? What happens to your heart rate?
Goes up.
What happens to your muscles and body? What happens? Tense and shaking. And what happens when you're excited with your heart rate?
Goes up.
Goes up. Your body becomes tense,
But in a
shaking.
different way.
Yeah. But if you start to call it, instead of saying, oh, I'm so nervous, I've got this, what if you start to say, oh, I'm so excited, I've got this interview I get to go to. And who cares if I don't get the job? I get to go to the interview.
But sometimes